Zach is back. It's the Zach Gelb Show on Fox Sports 920 The Jersey.
Hold on, wait a second. This is a joyous day. The Philadelphia Eagles yesterday just thumped the Pittsburgh Steelers. No one could have believed the Eagles would have just completely dismantled the Pittsburgh Steelers. And this is the bumper music we use to welcome back Angelo Cataldi. Let's give Angelo what he wants, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles fight song. That's right. The Birds are 3-0 heading into the bye week. And now joining me on the hotline is my favorite talk show host in America, and that is Eagles superfan, the great Angelo Cataldi. Uncle Ange, thanks for a few minutes, and how are you?
Zach, I'm doing great, but I did like what you said. Nobody foresaw that the Eagles would win. I picked all three games right, you know.
Hold on.
I didn't have 34-3, but I mean, come on. The Eagles, this kid, Carson Wentz has changed everybody's outlook on this team, even now this season. It's an amazing story. It's one of the great stories we've ever had.
And this is the greatest part of what the Eagles are doing right now, because it's the unexpected success. When they brought in Howie Roseman and brought him back to his position, everyone said, oh no. When they brought in Doug Peterson, everyone said, not enough experience, will just be the same as Andy Reid was here. And then when they got Carson Wentz, everyone said, uh-oh, they're risking too much of the future. This unexpected success is great, and this is what makes sports awesome, Ange.
Absolutely right, Zach. That everything you just said is exactly the situation. That it's great to have success when you sign all the big free agents and have a veteran core of great players. But when you don't think you have much of anything, and then you start 3-0, and you do what the Eagles did to the Steelers, at that point, all bets are off. You're thinking the biggest dreams now, and why shouldn't you? That kid Carson Wentz. I've been doing my gig for almost 30 years, Zach. We have never encountered anything like this kid, a rookie from North Dakota State who he's been as good a quarterback as anyone in the NFL after 3 games. What are the odds that could ever happen?
Absolutely zero, I would have to say, if you had to ask me before the season. But I'll also say this. I'll take a look at the head coach and Doug Peterson and Carson Wentz. These are guys that didn't really have great experience. Doug Peterson last year, I was laughing when his team completely screwed up the clock in New England, and Carson Wentz was playing FCS talent last year, and it's amazing how cool, calm, and collective they look. They don't look like rookies. They look like 10-year pros.
Zach, let me tell you a quick story. The KC blows that game, and then the Eagles sign Doug Peterson to be the head coach a week later. So we have him on that morning as a guest because we're the flagship station of the Eagles. And we get done with the interview, and we hang up. We go to break. And Keith Jones is there. And Jonesy looks at me, and I look at him because Doug couldn't give a good explanation of how they botched up the timeouts at the end. And we both said at the same time, we're bleeped. we said, we're bleeped. Wow, are we in trouble? Because, we were foreseeing all the time management problems and all that. Got to do a better job. You know what Andy Reid was like. And we thought we were reliving a nightmare. The guy comes in, and from the first day of training camp, it just looked like he knew exactly what to do. He had a great plan. He was approachable. He was accessible, but he was very committed to what he was doing. And when they joined him with Wentz, it worked. And you could see these plays that Peterson is calling, they're well thought out, they're well executed, they're intricate. I don't even remember that stuff happening when Reid was around. And I know he won a lot of games, but this seems more fun than that.
Now, you know this, in Philadelphia, we love the success right now the Eagles are having, but we also have to make fun of the teams that are not having so much success. How about the Cleveland Browns? How dumb are they?
Zach, believe me when I say this. For everything that I just said about the Eagles, I take more joy out of the failure of others, right? These Cleveland Browns, they bring in a baseball guy to run the organization, Paul DePodesta. And this guy says that Wentz is not going to be a top 20 quarterback in the NFL. He's already a top 10 quarterback. And Hugh Jackson, I went with this, Zach. I look like an idiot because I went, if Hugh Jackson doesn't think this guy can play, Hugh Jackson's a quarterback guru. Joe Flacco, he's had 4 or 5 guys that he's developed in the NFL. I said, if he doesn't think this kid can play, the kid can't play. And you know who doesn't know what they're doing? Hugh Jackson doesn't know what he's doing. And he went, we'll see if this kid shows you anything after a couple of weeks. He's showing more every week. He's an idiot. Who else am I leaving out? The L.A. Rams. We got to have Jared Goff. He is far closer to being ready in the NFL. That's why he's a third-string quarterback on an awful team. And there's one other idiot I got to mention.
Scott.
This guy, who is the guy from the Jets?
Bart Scott.
Last week. Bart Scott, is that his name?
Yep, he's a jackass.
Oh, my God, what a dope he is. He comes out and goes, now we'll see what happens. It's all fool's gold if you like Carson Wentz. All of these guys, it's like an idiot's parade. And when the kid yesterday had the game he did, I kept thinking about all those jackasses and saying, man, I hope they're enjoying this game as much as I am.
The thing I also hated about Bart Scott, and I'm not a fan of him, I never was when he was a player, was how wrong he was and didn't have any facts. He said that Carson Wentz was facing no pressure. In game number 1, he faced a very good quarterback in Joe Hayden. And then in game number 2, the thing I was most impressed with in that Bears game was the footwork of Carson Wentz and how he got away from all that pressure. So he's a dope.
Yeah, he really. You know what I honestly believe is that he didn't actually watch the game.
Oh, no question.
He might have seen a highlight package, but he didn't watch the games because the way the kid has commanded the pocket, if you know anything about football, you realize that what we're seeing is very unusual here, especially in a rookie.
Angelo Cataldi joins us right now from the WIP Morning Show. Yesterday, when I knew the game was over, was when Carson Wentz once again had an impeccable footwork and find a tremendous throw to Darren Sproles. How about that play? That was just awesome.
That was the one. Zach, that was absolutely the one. They're blitzing on the left. He rolls right. He reads the blitz perfectly. He's rolling around, and he has no open receiver, but he has he's tiptoeing. He knows where the line of scrimmage is. He knows he can't go over it. And then he sees Sproul just get a step behind the linebacker, and he throws on the run a perfect touch pass right on Sproul's fingertips, and Sproles does the rest. How many guys? That isn't something. Look, the coaching's been great. You can't coach that. That's instinct. And he did like 5 things right in a row to execute a 73-yard touchdown play. And that's the kind of thing you say to yourself, if he's able to do that in the third game as a rookie, what's he going to be like a couple of years down the road?
He's only going to get better and better, and that's good news for Eagles fans. Yesterday, though, the Eagles just kicked ass in the trenches, both on the defensive side and also the offensive line. Now, the timing of this bye week is an interesting one because at first I thought to myself, oh no, this is right when the Eagles are red hot. I want to keep on playing. But then I thought to myself, it actually comes at a good time because of the impending suspension of Lane Johnson. How does this offensive line look unless if John Dorenbos is able to come up with some magic trick to get this suspension overturned without Lane Johnson?
They're not going to be as good. That's pretty obvious. They really don't have a lot of depth there, and that is a real concern. Jason Peters, to me, looks one twist away from an injury. Doesn't he always seem to have something going on during a game? And he's jumping a little. He's not in his prime anymore. But you're right to be concerned about that. But I got to believe between being as good as they are, once it becomes official, Howie Roseman's made so many other good moves. You mean to tell me he can't rescue a pretty good offensive lineman before the trade deadline? I mean, I got to believe there's a move in there somewhere because it's going to be a void for 10 games, and they're going to have them back with 3 games to go in the season. you got to make sure that you do well over those 10 games for no other reason than to protect your hugely valuable commodity now in your new quarterback. So you're right. But you know what, Zach? I would rather see the buy a little further down the road and ride the hot hand right now, because I feel like they could take a couple more wins in before they had to deal directly with that Lane Johnson situation.
Ange, let's get to the defense. Jim Schwartz has been sensational and a perfect fit for the city of Philadelphia and the Eagles. I don't understand still, though, yesterday, how they held Antonio Brown and Big Ben out of the end zone. What did you see yesterday with that defense?
First of all, they gave – if I'd have said to you last week, Zach, that they were going to give up 12 passes for 140 yards to Antonio Brown, you would have gone, oh, they're going to get crushed,
yep.
Right? But it was the way they did it. They understood that you're not going to stop Brown from catching the ball. You just got to make sure he doesn't run after he catches the ball. And they bottled him up beautifully, and that was part of it. And what you saw was, and we've always said that maybe the weakest part of that defense is the secondary. They were super aggressive, and they broke up a ton of plays. And you were right about the defensive line. They got better and better as the game went along. And there's two reasons for that. One is they're still extremely well conditioned. That they learned from Chip Kelly and didn't lose it. And the other thing is they're on the field for 25 minutes instead of 35 minutes. And those last 10 minutes, they have a lot more left in the tank than they did in previous years. So that defense, especially the way Malcolm Jenkins played yesterday, that defense, that is going to be the strength of the team. No matter how good Wentz is, they're going to go as far as that defense takes them this year.
I'm also falling in love with Rodney McLeod. That interception yesterday, I still don't understand how he came down with that one.
He was a great addition by Howie Roseman. Howie Roseman, I don't know what happened, Zach, because I've been around long enough. When a guy's bad at a job, he doesn't usually come back and do the same job again and be good at it. But so far, Howie has also defied all logic and has made so many good personnel moves and has done so many smart things, headlined by what he did with Wentz, that you just got to shake your head and go, maybe all this suffering we've done for all these years, we're finally getting a payoff now.
I also have to ask you one more thing, because last year, when I would ever see a family friend of mine that's a distant relative of Howie Roseman, we would talk about the Eagles, and I would have nothing good to say about Howie Roseman. And last year there was so much made about culture, and it was the most awful culture I ever seen in Philadelphia with Chip Kelly. But don't you have to give a lot of credit to Jeffrey Lurie, too? Because everyone knocked him about bringing back this family atmosphere. But I watched the clip of those guys in the locker room today, and that family atmosphere, I know they're winning right now and winning's a cure-all, but that family atmosphere, it's working, Ange.
I love what you just said there, Zach, because you're right. Culture was like a big theme of the Chip Kelly era, and it was an awful culture by the third year. They got rid of Chip and immediately improved the culture. And I'm not sure that it's the plan that Lurie had. From what I understand, Lurie reached a point with Kelly where he didn't care that much about the culture. He wanted to root for his own team, and he was having a real hard time doing it because his own coach wouldn't acknowledge people in the corridors and things of that nature. I'll give him this. He gave Howie a second chance. He gave him all the money he needed to do it because they maxed out on the cap this year. And you could see him up there in the luxury box yesterday when they were scoring those touchdowns and high-fiving awkwardly with other millionaires up in the luxury box. And all you could say, he's not a bad guy at all. When you consider how many of these guys are just real scoundrels who are billionaires, we did okay with Lurie, but you know what? They got to win somewhere in here. He's owned the team for 23 years, and they haven't won a championship. We got to get a championship, Zach. I'm running out of time. I'm old.
Well,
you've got plenty of years. I don't.
Well, with all these stories about you retiring, I hope you see one before you retire, Ange.
Well, you know what? Now, if I think they're close, I might try to milk another year out of this thing. I swear to God, it's on my bucket list. I want to be on the year that they win a championship, and I'm running out of time, but I got new hope now. I got Carson Wentz.
How much do you fear that the year you walk away, the next year they'll win the Super Bowl?
More than you could ever know. and you know, Zach, it's probably going to happen. And then you know what people are going to say? That I was the jinx.
Yeah.
And that as soon as I left, some new guy comes in and takes all the glory. So I'm trying to hang in because I'd really love to see it. It would be the biggest sports parade in American history. I'm positive. It would be 4 or 5 million people. It would be huge.
It would be a state of euphoria and ecstasy. Last one for you as we are joined right now by Angelo Cataldi. I was talking to Andy Reid this morning. He says hello to you, Angelo.
You heard our kind of conversation with Doug Peterson.
Yep.
I think Doug was under the impression Andy and I are close. We are not close. I am far closer to you, Zach, than I ever was to Andy Reid.
Well, that's not saying a whole lot. Angelo, thanks so much for the time. You're the best. I always love when I intern for you. I say it every time, and you're a real mentor to me, so I appreciate the time. All the best.
You're awesome, Zach. Keep up the good work. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much. There's the great Angelo Cataldi joining us on the Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920 The Jersey. When I was watching yesterday's 34-3 rout, the first thing I thought when I knew the game was getting out of hand and the Eagles were going to do what I thought was impossible in beating the Pittsburgh Steelers and going to 3-0, I said, I have to get Angelo Cataldi on the show. And you hear the excitement in his voice. And there's no one better to break down a game with than Angelo, because even with the success of the Eagles, that man enjoys making more fun of the idiots with the Cleveland Browns who were dumb enough to pass up on Carson Wentz. The Browns haven't had a good quarterback in years. In years. In my lifetime, the Browns have not had a good quarterback. And they were arrogant enough to say, oh, he won't be a top 20 quarterback. No way, Carson Wentz. The Rams can't even get Jared Goff on the field. And then, oh yeah, Bart Scott, who chastised Carson Wentz and then was dead wrong yesterday. I can't wait for that, Bart Scott. Where are you today, Bart Scott? You're silent. You're not loquacious today. Because what people are talking about today, Bart Scott and all the other dopes, whether it's the Browns organization or the Rams organization, they're talking about the Eagles. And the Philadelphia Eagles are 3-0. And once again, unexpected success is the best success in sports. No one thought Howie Roseman was going to be in this position. We were all fearful when it was announced Howie Roseman was moving back to the right side of the office. When Doug Peterson was named the head coach, we all said, oh, they're just trying to recreate Andy Reid. And when they got Carson Wentz at first, what was the reaction? Oh, the Eagles gave up a whole lot. Well, in the offseason, what did Howie Roseman do? He won you back. That is what he did. Howie Roseman won you back because he fleeced the Dolphins, got rid of Kiko Alonso and Byron Maxwell. Then he made a trade to get Carson Wentz, and then took advantage of the Minnesota Vikings, who are, by the way, 3-0 right now. But I'll make that trade every single day because Sam Bradford had no future here in Philadelphia. And they got back a first, and maybe that fourth could even get a little bit better with the success the Vikings are having. So Howie Roseman, before a snap was even played in this season, won you over. Then Doug Peterson in the first 3 games, he's been aggressive, and he's been very confident. And my only concern with Doug, or two of my concerns with Doug, was that he would be a doormat for the players. And you need to establish that fine line of being a player's coach but not being a doormat. So far, that's not the case. And also, clock management. That was a concern for me. Well, if you keep on winning games like you did yesterday, you don't have to worry about managing the clock because you can knee it on down late in the game. And then finally, Carson Wentz. You need a quarterback in this league. It's the most high-pressured position in sports. That is the quarterback. There is so much scrutiny at the quarterback position, especially in Philadelphia. And so far, all I asked for in this Eagles season was just to see some hope. Give me the hope that the Eagles are moving in the right direction. And through 3 games, you have that hope. And now your aspirations are even bigger because now you legitimately believe the Philadelphia Eagles can make the playoffs and win the NFC East. Who would have thought? After 3 games of the regular season, there's still a whole lot of work to do. I'm concerned about life without Lane Johnson and how that offensive line will look without Lane Johnson. But after 3 games, the Eagles are in sole possession of first place. And as someone that grew up in New York, I'll be honest with you. Living in Philadelphia the last 5 years, it is impossible not to get excited about the Eagles the way the city of Philadelphia and also our market in South Jersey lives and dies by the success of the Philadelphia Eagles. And right now, this city of Philadelphia is in a state of euphoria because you ask Philadelphia sports fans, what do they want? What is their one wish? If a genie came on down to this world right now, what would the one wish of Philadelphia sports fans be? To deliver a Super Bowl, a Lombardi trophy to Philadelphia. And now you have that hope because you have a legitimate head coach and you have a quarterback that is getting comparisons nationally, not by me, not by Joe Schmo, not by a local radio guy, but by experts. He's getting comparisons to Brett Favre, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Ben Roethlisberger, guys that have won Super Bowls. And that's the dream of Philadelphia. It's to have that parade, and it's to have that Super Bowl. I'm not putting the Eagles in the Super Bowl this year. I don't even know if they're going to make the playoffs this year. But now you have that hope. And from now until whenever this Doug Peterson, Carson Wentz era ends, well, in year number 1, you're seeing that hope. And you're seeing the future. And you just hope it continues to get better and better and better. Because even if it doesn't happen this year, when you have a successful head coach in this league and a successful quarterback, well, guess what? Most of the times that means you end up bringing home a Lombardi trophy one day. This is the Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920. The Jersey, 609-919-9200 is our number. What we'll do right now is we're going to take a quick break. And when we get back, we have to talk about the 2 biggest stories from yesterday. It has nothing to do with the Eagles or anything in the National Football League. We have to talk about the passing of Jose Fernandez and also the legendary Arnold Palmer. More of the Zach Gelb Show after this.